Howdy.
Howdy.
Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So as you can see, this is the Hokie effect, and I would like to present Bijan from Virginia Tech University.
Howdy. Howdy. Thanks for having me. As you heard, my name is Bijan Peters. I was the Hokie Effect Director at Virginia Tech for about 3 years. I now serve as the Director of Alumni Relations for Virginia Tech Student Government Association. So today I'm going to tell you about a program that raises 92% of our student government's revenue through t-shirt sales. Now before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of background on Virginia Tech football in general. That's kind of how this program started, so that you can get an understanding of why this program is successful. I'm going to show you a little video. After an advertisement.
Take the person who makes you happy.
I couldn't tell you what this is for.
The walk through the tunnel. The Virginia Tech Hokies about to touch the Hokie stone, and when they hit the field at Wayne Stadium, this place will erupt. Virginia Tech in search of another title. North Carolina comes calling in Blacksburg tonight. And served by Applebee's tonight, Wayne Stadium in Blacksburg, Virginia. One of the most intimidating venues in all of college football. And there's not much better than watching 66,000 strong welcome their Hokies.
So that's the famous Enter Sandman entrance before every football game, and really any athletic event in general at Virginia Tech. The team enters to Enter Sandman by Metallica. Now that game there versus North Carolina was our final home game of my freshman year. I'm a senior now. And it was right after I was named the Hokie Effect Director. So the goal of the program is obviously to raise revenue for the Student Government Association, but it's also to turn a stadium like this into this. So I'm going to walk through a couple things, steps how we make it happen, but I do want to let you know there will be a quiz somewhere along the way. There might be a couple pop quizzes, and I'm going to have some free t-shirts for people who get questions right. So pay attention. First pop quiz, how many people fit in Lane Stadium? You just heard it. There you go. All right. That was quick.
He didn't raise his hand.
He did raise his hand, actually. But, so, ready? Good catch. All right. So, the objectives. It's entirely student-run. As I said, it's run by the Student Government Association. We're the middleman. We work with a lot of different companies. The t-shirt company that we work with, the athletic department, and beyond. I'll go through pretty much everyone we work through step by step to give you a result like that photo you just saw. And how it all started, 2002. And we played Rutgers in the first ever Orange Effect game. We sold about 4,500 shirts just out of pocket in the student government office in Squire Student Center. It's a center like this, not quite as big and a little bit older. But and it started with that. So you've got a 60,000 person stadium. 4,000 people are wearing our shirts, and over time you'll see it slowly increase. So the second ever Hokie Effect game. Oh wait, how'd that get there? Texas A&M versus Virginia Tech. It's actually played during Hurricane Isabel. Another good game. You can see the score there, and this is how it all started. So this was the first Orange Effect shirt when I was director, and the way it works is we have a slogan contest and a design contest, and I'll walk you through the steps, but we go through the traditions of Virginia Tech, and so they're entirely student designed. We send out a contest for after we have a slogan contest, and look at the bottom right. The slogan is the sweet sound of victory, with the VT logo as the VT in victory. And it refers to the skipper cannon. Now the skipper cannon booms as the team enters for Enter Sandman, and then after each touchdown, after each score. Some games more than others, you hear the cannon quite a bit. This game was a Labor Day game that was supposed to be rained out against Georgia Tech, and you got the result that you saw in that photo just at the beginning of the presentation. So we're honoring the skipper cannon. It's a tradition started over 50 years ago by the Corps of Cadets at Virginia Tech, and that's how we got this shirt. And then you got what's important now. It's the Maroon Effect, All Hail the Lunch Pail. It's a tribute to our defense. Our defensive coordinator, Bud Foster, has a program called the Lunch Pail Defense, and it's about that blue-collar, hard work mentality where our football team, our defense in particular, they go out every day and they got to earn their spot. And so they got the lunch pail that you see at the bottom has WIN on it. Stands for what's important now. You see that at the top of the front of the shirt, and it was very well received. So here's the sales by year kind of breakdown. We started, like I said, with 4,500 shirts sold, and worked our way up. 2007, 2008 was kind of where we hit our peak so far. We're hoping to get back up, but 96,000 shirts, close to 100,000 shirts. That's more than the capacity of Lane Stadium. And as you can see towards the bottom, we've kind of evened out at around 65,000, right about the capacity of Lane Stadium. We're very happy with that. Generates quite a bit of profit. And but where does the money go? So good years, you make between $150,000 to $200,000 in profit after you've paid for the shirts and things like that. So they go towards SGA initiatives. One of the things that we've got going this year that it's going towards, with hopes of next year, is at the start of the year, we're going to have reusable containers much like this provided to every freshman as they come in. So when they come into their dorms, sitting on their desk on move-in day, they're going to have one of these reusable containers as we're pushing towards a more sustainable university. So this is just one of the things the Hokie Effect program goes towards, of many. Now we expanded the program in about 2008 with the Hokies on Fire program, which was later renamed in 2012. It was combined, and now it's just the Hokie Effect program. Hokies on Fire was geared towards basketball. We play in Castle Coliseum right next to Lane Stadium. Holds right around the same capacity as Duke's Cameron Indoor, with just shy of 9,000 students or fans altogether. So the inaugural Maroon Monsoon game, we got the Maroon Monsoon and Blackout. Our first Hokies on Fire game actually was a tie-dye shirt, kind of cool. And then since then we've gone with a standard maroon and a blackout shirt, which you'll see in a minute. Here, so this is this year's, the most recent Maroon Monsoon shirt. Again, same as the Hokie Effect program, student designs, student slogans. So the ties have changed. We've got a new coach, Buzz Williams. We're excited about it. And that's where this one stems from. And then you've got the blackout shirt, Blackout and Bird. So again, each year the slogans are different. It helps generate new sales, and the student population as well as the alumni generally know that when you go to a designated Maroon Monsoon game or a Blackout game or a Hokie Effect game in general, you're wearing that color, or otherwise you're going to be standing out. So we expanded after that to other sports. So you've got women's soccer, men's soccer, volleyball, to name a few. We've also done baseball and softball, and we're hoping to expand towards wrestling and a couple other sports in the near future. So this was an easy shift for us. We're using the same shirts. This is just kind of to increase sales overall. You've got, we're selling all the shirts. They've got football slogans for the Hokie Effect games, from the Maroon and Orange Effect in particular. But when you've got games like this, we're promoting the same maroon shirt they do for football, encouraging people to buy them early. You know, the October 3rd game was about 3 weeks prior. But if we have people buying them early, we know how many shirts we've sold, and we can get an idea if we need to order more. The All Hail Lunch Pail, the Maroon Effect shirt that you saw a little while back, that one was in conjunction with the Orange Effect game where we played Georgia Tech. You saw that lovely photo. We actually sold out of the Maroon Effect shirts the first weekend. It was that Labor Day game was our first game, and we only had a 2-week turnaround to order more shirts for the next go. And what I need to mention is the price of these shirts. Sir, you want a shirt? Can you tell me how much that costs on the tag?
$5.99.
$5.99 for a T-shirt. Now you've got a long sleeve shirt here. Who can guess how much this one costs? You're gonna get it if you guess. Can we raise our hands this time? Let's start with you.
$7.99.
Higher. Back there.
24?
Lower. Much lower.
10?
Low 99?
$12.99.
Whoa, I heard it. Who said $10.99?
Hey,
You said it? All right. Well, point is, we've got a good gig going for us. You got these two shirts, so you got $10.99, $5.99. Well, we got a combo pack for you. So you're gonna get both for $12.99. And how do we do that? We're selling. What's that? I said $12.99. That's a combo, but
She should get both.
we're getting the maroon texture for that. So the way it works is we're ordering 60,000 shirts at a time. It's the largest order that a lot of these companies get. So when we go and we're trying to place, we send out a request for proposal, an RFP, you'll see it in a minute. When we send that out, companies are anxious to get it. You've got companies reaching out to us ahead of time because they know this program exists now. They're reaching out, they want to do it. So you got local companies, you got companies up and down the East Coast where they're contacting you. When I started this, I was 18 years old. I'm 22 now, it's been a little while, but people are coming up and begging you for their business. So like I said, we expanded to baseball and softball as well. And then it came down to time to select a company. So we're rewinding. I'm starting here, I'm 18 years old, just got the position. I lucked out, honestly. I don't know what Jamie, our advisor, saw in me, but I'm lucky to be in the spot I am today because of the selection process. But so we sent out the request for proposal. I'll go out with that, go through that in a minute. But anyway, so we send that out to a couple companies. Mind you, this program's gone on for a while, so the director before me kind of guided me through the way, and there's a transition process we'll go through as well. But so I had a few companies to choose from. I did some research and saw what companies up and down the East Coast had seemingly affordable prices. And then we sent out the RFP to about 5-7 companies, and they all responded within about a month. We gave them a very strict timeline, heard back from them, and then from there we eliminated down to 3. The 3 companies came in, they presented to us, and I'm telling you, these companies, they come in and they are showing you the best they got. They've got the New York Giants Super Bowl champions T-shirts, the shirt that Eli Manning put on when they won the Super Bowl. I want you to have it. We printed these. Here you go. You got the most popular shirt in Disney World in 2012. We printed it. Here you go. We can do that. It's got 32 ink colors. It's yours. Check it out. Pretty cool stuff. So once we go through that, you check out the prices of the shirts. There's a lot of things you got to go through. Do you get along with the company? Will they be able to provide in time? How big is the company? You're asking for a potential turnaround of a week. You need another 10,000 shirts. Can they do it? Some can, some can't. Some will tell you they can, but you look at it and you realize they can't. So we stuck with Graphic Cow. They're located in South Carolina, and when we went through this process, I learned a lot about T-shirts. Hanes, Gildan, Allsport, Fruit of the Loom, you name it, I tried it on. These companies, during the RFP process, they brought in shirts. They mailed them in, they brought them in. I had over 100 maroon and orange shirts, plain blank shirts of every size and color to try on, then wash them, try them on again, see if they still fit, wash them again, see is there a hole in them now, are the wear and tear. A lot of things go into it. We ended up going with Hanes. That was what worked best for us. I got some examples up here, so if you guys want to check them out later. I think the shirts you've got that I'm passing out today were Gildan shirts. So it kind of depends on the year, on the price. That's the big thing. The price of maroon and orange, cotton kind of, it's a little harder to find than some other colors. But when you got colors, Chicago maroon, burnt orange, you go with it. So ultimately we went with Hanes, and we benefited from it, and some of the local schools benefited from it as well. We got a chance to work with Hanes and the Graphic Cow and donate 10,000 box tops, which was $1,000 to Eastern Montgomery Elementary School located just outside Blacksburg. And so our SGA got to work with their SGA, and it was a really cool opportunity. We had the Hokie Bird, our favorite mascot, come with us, and you had the whole elementary school there. One of my favorite events with the SGA so far. You had the entire elementary school, and these little kids, they had handwritten notes for the Hokie Bird, and they were more excited to see the Hokie Bird. They didn't care so much for the $1,000, but the administrator certainly cared for it. And we even got their principal, who is a UVA alum, to do the Hokey Pokey with them. So we were content. So once we've got the shirts, we work with the bookstore throughout the process, honestly. We've got a lot of stores that we sell them at, starting with the University Bookstore on campus. We have an exclusive contract where we only sell through Virginia Tech Services. So you can see here, you've got the on-campus bookstore, we've got an off-campus bookstore, we've got a convenience store located by the dorms, you've got a store in the Student Center, a store in the stadium, a store in Castle Coliseum where our basketball team and volleyball teams play, and then online. And over time, the deals have changed a little bit, but at the moment, we give them $1 per shirt sale. So it's about $60,000 each year. So they benefit from it. They help us with advertising quite a bit. And obviously, they shelve the shirts and whatnot. So we work with Mr. Williams at the bookstore, and it's a great partnership. So if you are looking, ultimately, I'm presenting this to you guys because I want you to be able to turn around and take this to your school and help bring revenue, new sorts of revenue to your student governments. So we'll walk through the steps. I'm sure there will be questions. If you have any questions, let me know. But as we go through it, you'll see there's a lot of moving parts here. Then we work with athletics and licensing. So in order to use any of these things, you got to get them approved. There's a lot of trademark terms, things like that. So we work with Virginia Tech Athletics, and again, you make a deal over time where how do they benefit from marketing? We get 100% of the shirt sales. This is the deal that came in after I was director, but 100% of the shirt sales up to a point, and it's negotiated by a year, and then after that you start splitting the quota with them. They benefit from the program quite a bit. You've got fans showing up for their games specifically for the program, obviously, and because they want to cheer on the team, no doubt. But also they're benefiting because you've got awesome turnouts like that when we're on a Monday night game or Thursday night game or any day of the week on ESPN, you see something like that. So this is just a clip from our RFP that kind of shows you we break down the maroon and orange based on size. So we sell youth sizes all the way up to 2 or 3 XL, and these are recommendations. I didn't just kind of pluck them out. I wouldn't have known what to do. Again, I came into the program and I was guided through it. Otherwise, it won't work. You got to set it up, obviously, but after that, there's got to be a smooth transition to make it possible. And so here's your look at just some of the ways it works. We work with the bookstore, and over time, they've got a projection on how much you're going to sell, and that's how we got this. So I mentioned the slogan and design process, and I'll give you a timeline as to when we do it in a few minutes, but we've got students submitting the slogans. It's about 2 to 4 weeks. We do it on a survey that we send out, publish it at Facebook, Twitter, websites, stuff like that. And the winners receive $200 each. So you've got 2 shirts, 2 slogans. We get 100 to 200 people enter each time, and you get some really good ones, and you get some ones that aren't so great. But we'll go through a couple of them in a couple minutes. But ultimately, you're giving away $1,000 for what gives SGA a ton of revenue, because in the design contest, once you've got the slogans approved by the licensing department, then you go ahead and promote the designs, promote the slogans and get designs for them, and you get all sorts of stuff. That's probably my favorite part of the process overall is getting to see how creative people can be, because you can have a slogan, the sweet sound of victory. We intended it for it to be about the skip cannon, but we had designs submitted with the Hokie bird holding an iPod, the sound of victory, and they're jamming to Enter Sandman. You had the little design on the side that showed what song was playing on the Hokie bird's iPod, stuff like that. So you got a lot of cool ideas, and sometimes things you don't think about that you kind of add in. What's important now on the Maroon Effect shirt was not part of our slogan originally. It's part of the program itself, but the designer put it on there, and it was pretty cool. And then we've got very specific guidelines. So we've got, like I said, Chicago maroon and burnt orange are our colors. There's certain levels of those colors that we can go into further detail about if you need, but it'll depend on your school, so I don't need to tell you what the PMS colors are for those. But you go through them, and you've got those rules all laid out when you publish them, so that there's no gray area. Another thing you keep in mind when you're choosing the shirts or what company you want to go with. Another thing that goes into the price is the number of ink colors you use. So if you do just a white shirt or any color shirt with one ink color on the front and back, it's going to cost you a little bit less than when we do multiple colors. You've got the maroon shirt with orange and white and black or what have you. This past year we did, I think they said 5 or 6 colors because we had the Hokie stone on it, and I've got the shirt I can show you up here in a minute. But Hokie stone is what pretty much every building on campus is made of, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. But in order to get the full scale of the color on that, you have to use a little more ink. So it costs a little more. You use a different type of shirt. You got to make some decisions on that. So like I said, you got some really good designs and some other designs. And what you can see here is things you got to be aware of when you've got a slogan contest. So, you know, Logan Thomas was our quarterback for first 3 years of my college career. He's now playing for the Arizona Cardinals. And why have a slogan when you've got Logan was one of the slogans submitted to us. And wasn't quite what we were looking for, but one of the main things I want to point out with that in particular, and same with designs, you get some designs that have players' faces and things like that. And you want your players to be able to play in the following games or the following seasons. You can't commit an NCAA violation. And selling a product with a player's name or a player's likeness of any sort on it is not allowed. So you get taken care of with licensing before you got very far in that at all. But if you were to print them and it had something like that, you'd get in trouble. The player could get in trouble, and it's just it's a sticky situation overall. So that's why I point that one out in particular. One of the it was a cool idea you got on the left there. The one on the right is what we ultimately went with. You and What Army? That was my second year as the director. Tribute to our Corps of Cadets and the hard work they do, and we got to throw some digital camo in there. And one of the cool things was you had, over the course of the year, Virginia Tech's football team ended up using digital camo for one of their games and also on their helmets. So we got to, we're all working together, as when I say that we're working with the athletic department and things like that. But on the left, they wanted to add a QR code to every shirt. And it was going to be a different QR code for every shirt where you can keep up with stats and you could kind of collect them all. It wasn't quite feasible for us, but you get some creativity, like I said. And then we're printed. So, you know, we go in weeks. We get, when you order 60,000 shirts, we don't want them all at once. The bookstore doesn't want them all at once by any means. So we go ahead and we get shipments of about 20,000, which is by no means a small number, but that's kind of what we've set our cap at per shipment. And depending on the company, this can go very quickly, very slowly. Graphic House helps us out and make it a quick process. And so like I said, I showed you the design. This is what the shirt ultimately ended up looking like. And you'll see in a minute, we partnered with Homecoming after that. So Virginia Tech's Homecoming is a pretty big deal, all sorts of traditions that go with it. And so another way to help us with sales and help them out, our theme becomes the Homecoming theme now, a partnership that we started 2 years ago. And you've got, then these products are turned into a bunch of other things. You'll have cups and different giveaways that Homecoming uses to promote their events, partnered with Hokie Effect. And so it helps with sales, no doubt. You've got the Orange Effect. So what this, reaching for excellence with every jump, it plays on two things. As you saw in the video at the very beginning, prior to the team running out to enter Sandman, as you've got the entire stadium shaking, they go and touch the Hokie stone. It's hanging above the tunnel that they enter from. And it says, for those who come, for those who pass, reach for excellence. So that's where the top comes from, reach for excellence. They're jumping to touch it, and then you've got the entire stadium jumping. So it's kind of a put together of the two traditions we've got at Virginia Tech. And tradition never graduates is on the front. And then when do we put them on sale? Again, I'm going to go through the timeline. We put them on sale in April. We put it in conjunction with our spring game. So the weekend before the spring game, we put these shirts on sale because we've got a good number of fans coming in for that game in particular. It helps with sales. It's also family weekend that weekend, so you've got parents coming in just before the school year comes to a close. And that depends on the year. Some years it is, and some years it isn't. We also have the largest collegiate relay for life in the country. And so that is that weekend as well. So you've got people coming in for that, and it's good for them. It's good for us. And then why we put them on sale in April is because you've got 5,000 freshmen coming in each July for orientation, and their parents are coming in. They don't have any Hokie gear yet. You know, they might have a shirt or two, but look, you can get these two shirts for $12.99, $11.99, $13.99, depending on the year, depending on the cost. That's a great deal. You're not going to find a better deal than that. So they get a shirt for the kids. Mom and dad each need a shirt. because their kids are Hokies now. Brother and sister need a shirt. Grandma needs a shirt. You can buy the entire family shirts for under $100. Not going to find a better deal than that. So we put them on sale like that, nice and early, so come September, come October, when you've got the game, there's no doubt that stadium's going to be filled with maroon and orange. So here's the timeline. It's a lot of words. I can send this out to you guys, but the application process begins in October, and so that's when I got my position back in October of 2011. And then you get right into it. As soon as you're chosen, you've got a slogan contest in November. It's a long process only because you've got to build in time for different things. If you get a slogan decline, you can't have only a 2-week timeline because it could take a week or two for it to get approved or denied, and then you're out of luck. You've got to build in time for that type of thing, for a slogan to design, and it's not even so much that it's denied or something. They might just want you to tweak it some way. A lot of things to keep in mind with that. So you've got the slogan contest that goes November, December. Then you got to pan in for winter break because people are relaxing. I'm relaxing. There's only so much you can expect of people. So once you can put the design contest out. We like to put the design contest out before winter break, so that while they are relaxing, if they feel creative, they can go ahead and try and win $300 with a design. Right around that time, right before winter break, we also submit our request for proposals, so that once we come back from winter break, where all systems go, we've got the companies, they've submitted their prices, their things like that, and then we invite them to come visit us and show us what they've got. And then in January, hopefully by that time when you get back from winter break, you also have your designs approved. So by the time you've got your company selected, you've got your designs and your slogans all at once. And you can say, all right, here you go. We like your shirts, we like your prices, here's what we want you to print on them. You get a copy of them, you might get it and say, hey, you know what, this font's too big, this font's too small. You want to get a couple copies of it because if you're printing 60,000 shirts, there's no room for error. So like I said, February, the vendors are selected. That's when the football schedule is released. So the football schedule, it's then printed and sent out to every alum and every student. You've got posters, things like that. Well, if you want this program to be successful, you got to have the Maroon Effect and the Orange Effect game on that schedule, so that when tickets are printed and posters are printed and the website's put up, the website's easy to fix. That's the easy thing. It's the printed things that you need the logo on right away. So we work very closely with the athletic department. So 10 a.m. in February when the football schedule comes out, all right, you have an idea of what games are coming out, but then you have the dates, you got the times. All right, we want these 2 games, and this one is a backup as our Maroon and Orange Effect games. A lot of things to keep in mind for those. Is it a night game? Sometimes those have better attendance than day games. It's things like that you got to keep in mind as you go. And then by March, your shirts are printing because you've got an April deadline for shirts coming out. And you give them the time in case something happens. You've got a full month to print. Like I said, a lot of these companies can do this in 2 weeks flat, but you don't. Again, no reason to risk it. You want the shirts in the stores by April. So this year, April 25th, shirts will go on sale, if not sooner. So you should get your shirts in, and spring game is in April. Over the summer, you're promoting the shirts. You got all sorts of advertisements, and I'll go through those in a minute. After my first year, we did a catalog with the bookstore. They have a catalog that comes out every summer. So I came back a couple weeks after school let out, and we did a photo shoot for the catalog, which is pretty cool. Most summer you're promoting, and then you're also keeping up with the second shipments as orientation goes through. You pay attention. Hey, look, everybody's grandmas wanted shirts too, so we're running out. We need to order more shirts pronto. And then come August, November, August to November, Hokie Effect games are going on, and you get the rewarding part of seeing your shirts worn all over campus. Same with the basketball timeline. We like to start in March. This is something we strive for. It doesn't always happen, I'll be honest with you. But March, we like to do it because of March Madness. People are excited about basketball. If you try and get the slogan contest out or the design contest out a little bit later than that, people are checked out. Come April, come May, it's finals time, and then the summer, no one's thinking about it. So if you don't get this done in March, April, your shirts aren't going to come out in time. So you've got the application for the new director, slogan contest, get right into it, design contest again, and then over the summer, you're going to have to do a little bit of work for this. And again, I don't know, your schools may have a big basketball program, they may not, big football program, they may not. This can apply to any sport. So if you've got a huge soccer team, everybody goes to the soccer games, you might want to gear your program towards that. So this is by no means a set in stone. Like I said, we're expanding to other sports, but you got to do what works best for your university. So you've got the request for proposals, stuff like that. You're in contact over the summer. You don't need to meet with anyone necessarily. you got your shirts printed in September, and you want your shirts on sale in October if you can, because that's when football season is. So that's what we do, or what we try to do is, we've got football season going on. You've got 60,000 fans coming into Blacksburg, Virginia, every other week for a football game. They're buying the Hokie Effect shirts for football, and hey, basketball season's coming up. Need those shirts too. Get them all in one stop. Basketball season begins in November. As you know, it goes till March with March Madness. Over the holidays, that's a great time for sales as well, because your Hokie Effect shirts or your Effect shirts for football are kind of winding down as football season ends. And come January, for us, ACC is the conference we're in. That's when conference play begins, and that's when we have our Maroon Monsoon and Blackout games. Here's kind of a breakdown. We've got the Hokie Effect program has a director of football and a director of basketball, and then we have an assistant director who kind of bounces back between both of those. So those timelines I gave are for the director. We usually pick the director and assistant director for the football program in particular, because we do sell a significantly larger number of shirts for the football program than we do the basketball program. And as I said, there's only about 9,000 people that can fit into Castle Coliseum. But again, I can send this out to anyone who needs it. I've got my cards up here, so if you need to contact me for anything, and we'll do a little question session, and I'll have some more pop quiz questions for you if you need shirts or want shirts. Then we go into advertising. So as you see on the bottom right, you've got a tiny image of "Tough as a Stone That Built Us," which is the slogan for the Maroon Effect shirt this past year. And that's the one that needed 6 inks, so it costs a little more, and that's why. But it takes up pretty much the entirety of the back of the shirt. Up top on the Orange Effect shirt, you've got Law of the Lane. Something I didn't mention is we generally alternate. So you've got, say this year was Orange Effect short sleeve, Maroon Effect long sleeve. In order to help sales continue, the following year would be Orange Effect long sleeve, Maroon Effect short sleeve. So this way you've got a nice build up in your wardrobe that ends up being entirely maroon and orange if you go to Virginia Tech of these shirts, and it helps sales. So you look back at the graph I gave you, and we kind of dropped off. That was right around 4, 5, 6 years after the program started. So people had a copy of every shirt in maroon and orange, short and long sleeve, and that's kind of when you start to see upperclassmen not purchase as many shirts because they just wear one from 2 years ago, and that's to be expected. Again, they're affordable, so it's not a huge drop. But that's kind of why we think that part of that happened. But we're pretty steady at 60,000, 65,000 now. But that's another way to keep the program successful, is so otherwise people just wear the shirt from last year, they spend $6 on it, don't need it again. You alternate it gives them a little bit more incentive. I mentioned the partnership with Homecoming. So the Homecoming committee at Virginia Tech worked with us. We had koozies, keychains, rally towels, you name it, we had it. Glasses, footballs, this is just a few of them, and each year, so this was the Maroon Effect game in 2013. This past year they had Orange Effect, it had all the same stuff in orange and a couple others. And that's for us, it's a great partnership. They show us a lot of cool stuff like this, and promotes our shirts, it promotes their campaigns as well. We have a cool tradition at Virginia Tech. When we used to play VMI right around Thanksgiving every year, Virginia Tech would run the game ball. They'd run from Virginia Tech to VMI, and so we don't play VMI very often anymore. Haven't, at least in the last several years. But we still have a tradition on campus where instead of running the 100 or so miles to VMI, they run around campus all of homecoming week. So these are our Corps of Cadets, a couple of them. They run all through campus. Game ball, game ball, game ball, and you got to touch the game ball for good luck. So everyone on campus is encouraged to touch the game ball. Teachers, professors, students, people who are visiting on a tour. Everybody gets to touch game ball, and so when it comes to the homecoming game, you don't have to worry about anything. So we gave them shirts. Free advertising for us. Provide them with a couple $6 shirts. Mind you, we purchased these shirts at a significantly lower price. You got to make some profit somehow. And then they're running around campus, doing their thing, advertising for us. And this was a very cool partnership for us. And then you got the Hokie Bird. I love the Hokie Bird. Hokie Bird wears our shirts too. Now, I don't know, depending on your mascot, Hokie Bird's a pretty big guy. So we got to order him a 6XL. We tried the 4XL, a little snug. Go with the 6XL. So if you do decide to run a program like this, you got your mascot wearing your shirts. Keep in mind that they're not exactly easy to come by, first of all. 6XL shirts are not a hot commodity all the time, but when you got special orders like this, it can take a little while, but ask around, see what yours are. That was the price for us. It'll depend on the size of the mascot, obviously. But again, you know, game days, everybody's looking to get a picture with the mascot, and they got your shirt on. Just another way to show everybody's wearing them. We got buses on campus, Blacksburg Transit. We work with them. We've got advertising on the backs of one of their buses, and then on the inside. So that's another cool thing for us that we get to do. And so, you know, you're stuck driving, sitting in traffic behind a bus. Can't help but think, oh, hey, haven't bought my Hokie Tech shirt yet. On the way to the bookstore, why not stop by? I mentioned the catalog, photo shoot. This was a fun, you know, fun little thing we got to work with Hokie Bird on. We didn't necessarily choose to pose it, but we're outside of Burris Hall, which is one of our landmarks on campus. And so my assistant director is there on the bottom left, and then the president and vice president of the organization are right there with us. And that was a fun time. Quick little trip to Blacksburg. We got a jumbotron here. Got to see the jumbotron here in Texas A&M, and that thing is massive. This is, I think, 8th or 9th largest. I think you guys, I'm hearing, are the largest in the nation, something like that. But this is a brand new scoreboard, and so inside Castle or inside Lane. Castle's that dome behind you there, behind the scoreboard. But you know, the bookstore helps advertise for us this way. So during other games that aren't, you know, you'll have a military appreciation game or things like that. You go through it, and you've got the advertisements for these, so everybody knows what game they need to be wearing what for. All right, we're going to play a quick game of Where's Waldo. Can you find Elizabeth Laser in this room? First person to find her gets a t-shirt. Anyone? You found one. So we have advertised on the website as well. Elizabeth Laser is our student government president. She didn't know I was doing that. So this is our student government website, and we advertise on here as well. So I decided to pick on her a little bit here. You got her with President Sands, our new university president, and another way for us to advertise. We've got a student government Facebook page, as well as a Hokie Effect Facebook page, and then Twitter account as well. And so we're looking to the future. These are some of the shirts that we've gotten, and like I said, we've kind of capped out at 65,000. That's where we're hovering around. But now as the director of alumni relations, I'm meeting with alumni on a weekly basis, and when they ask how'd you get involved and things like that, I tell them about this program, not as in-depth as what I've told you today. But we talk about it, and they say, hey, you remember that shirt from 2006 that said, why have a Benz when you've got a Beamer? We're talking about Frank Beamer, our legendary football coach. Hey, why don't you bring that one back? We'd like to see that one again. So what we'd like to do is potentially reach out and do some retro shirts on top of what we've already got. And this is something we've talked about, and it's one of those things that we haven't done before, so you don't really know how they're going to sell. You can imagine they're going to sell well, but you don't want them to impact the current sales, so you got to time it right. And so it's something we're working on. But you also don't know how many to order. You don't want to order 20,000 retro shirts and then have 2,000 sell because people have them. So you got to, again, this program started in 2002, so we're like 13 years into it now. You want to go far enough back that people don't have the shirt anymore. They want it, but you also got to know how many people are going to buy it. So this is in our student center. Got it. The lighting's a little off, but these are some of them, and we're going to have our basketball shirts up as well in the coming years. So one side will be just football. It'll be like the 6 most recent football shirts, and then the 6 most recent basketball shirts. Contact info. We got Virginia Tech Student Government Association info up there, and then my information. Like I said, I've got cards up here, so if you want to email me if you have any questions. But otherwise, I'm going to open up the floor to questions now. If you have questions about how to make this program possible at your school, go back so you can, oops, contact information. But yeah, so if you have any questions at all or comments, feel free. Go ahead.
What other ways does SGA get funding?
We have a program called Budget Board, and they fund for all student organizations at Virginia Tech, and so we get some money from them, but this is primary. Yes?
I know that you talked a lot about how you worked with like different pieces to make it all come together. In my school, I feel like something like this, the biggest constraint would be like the campus, like bookstore and everything, like feeling like you're coming in and like selling this one shirt and then it would take away sales from other shirts. How did you work with the bookstore to make it so it was something that was like gonna be a
Beneficial
win
for them as well?
too?
Yeah, so it started out, again, like I said, we were selling them just out of our office. But when you're selling more than 4,000 shirts, or when you're selling just 4,000 shirts, it's a little overwhelming. A lot of cash being transferred there, and I'd rather not do that. So at first it expanded, and we let anybody sell them. We had the local grocery store selling them. You had the official bookstore, the unofficial bookstore, any store in Blacksburg pretty much was able to sell the shirts. And then the bookstore kind of came to us and they're like, hey, you're selling 30, 40, 50,000 shirts a year. How about we get something together here? We'll help you advertise. So it was something that was beneficial for them. So it wasn't right away, but they noted it, and then we kind of got a contract going, and it's worked its way up from like 35 cents a shirt to $1 a shirt, just because they put more effort in. The number of shirts we sell has increased. But that's kind of how it starts. Is it'll be more if they see a benefit. But if you talk to them about this and say, ultimately we're making them money. So that's why it's beneficial for them. But I don't know that it necessarily takes away from the other sales so much as well either.
It would just be as in terms of like the price being so cheap. Are the other shirts that they sell normally, like, are they a lot more expensive than these? Or
They're college price shirts.
Yeah.
You know, anything with a college logo on it, you're going to get a T-shirt for like $20. So these are definitely a little bit cheaper. But that's a good question. Yeah. Saw you with the nice bow tie.
Oh, thanks. So, you know, I know now y'all are buying shirts in bulk, tens of thousands of shirts at a time. But when you started, you said you were only getting, what, 5,000 or so with your order. How much did it cost you then per shirt compared to how much it costs you now per shirt? And so, like, you know, profit you're making in the first year rather than now.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, in 2002 when the program started, I was about 10 years old. So any information I have is going to be based on a little bit of speculation or things I've heard from previous directors. I think we kind of just went all in on it. You know, we had some money saved up from budget board or other ways that we used to fundraise. I don't know what the shirt prices were then versus now. I would hope they got a good deal on in order. That's the biggest thing is ultimately if you guys are going to come in and want to start a program, is you're going to be starting from the very beginning, which is not something as a director that I did. I was lucky enough to come in with a program that already existed and just help continue it. But that said, you know, the shirts, if they sell, you'll profit. Especially if, you know, we're at these prices at this number, we're buying short sleeve shirts anywhere from like $1.50 to $3, and long sleeve shirts anywhere from $2 to $5 max at that price. Even still, if you start by selling the shirts for $10, you know, that's still going to be cheaper than most of the stuff you find in the bookstore. You're buying the shirts at $7, you're still making $3 a shirt. It'll make you enough that you can go back and do it again in a larger scale. That would be my suggestion to that. So
Yeah, obviously you have a pretty big university. How would you recommend scaling it down for a smaller school?
good question. Again, a lot of the success of this program boils down to our athletics. But that doesn't mean that's the only way something like this can work. It just gives you one of those things. So I don't know what university you're at, and I'm not saying that it can't work without athletics, but that's been part of the reason we've been successful is we've got that. It's an event for everybody to wear this at, and if you're not wearing it, you're left out. So everybody knows that if they're going to this game, they should wear that. That said, you can kind of make it something like that. If you do have a sports program that, attendance is lacking, we've got one of the best women's soccer teams in the country, but our attendance isn't always as good as it should be in my mind. So that's why we started that. It wasn't even so much to increase shirt sales. It was just kind of like, well, hey, our women's soccer team has been to the NCAA Final Four or NCAA tournament for 8 straight years. Why aren't we selling out Thompson Field? It's free to get in. We add that, you see an increase in attendance, you see an increase in sales, it helps everybody. So something like that, if you've got a struggling sports program or a program that doesn't get much attendance, if you make it an event, that can also work. Yes.
Just for an example, my school, we don't have sports.
Okay.
We're an art school, but we do have our old school show, which is every single department has a gallery show. So I'm thinking of incorporating that with old school show. It's like our big pride thing. We're all coming together to put on like a campus-wide gallery show.
Yeah.
That's an example of how to use it with non-sports.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got a big event or something like that that you can do it for, again, it's encouraging unity. As if, you know, in my high school we had a similar program, and so it was Big Red Day. Even if you didn't have an event on certain Fridays or certain days of the week, everybody just wore the big red shirt. Things like that. Just fun. Yes.
So one of the things that I think is like very dependent on this is that people are submitting their logos or whatever they want in their shirt, right?
Yes.
But they're only getting $200 to $300 for their thing, and that's just for winning the contest or whatever.
Sure.
In total, you make a bunch of revenue with that. If you have a bookstore making $60,000 off of $1 per shirt, because that's I guess the royalty or whatever that they get. How do you get kids motivated to submit like these logos or their opinion or their design when they're only getting very minimal amount?
Yeah, you know, it's something that we haven't come across too much of a problem of. We get quite a bit of submissions. A college student, $200 to $300 is some good lunch money. That said, you know, an eventual increase.
I think it's also like, you can be like, this is my design on the shirt, and there's a lot of pride with that, and people know, like, that's my friend Sarah's design, and she's built that or made that, so it's like a huge pride thing to have yours be selected that goes, and everyone wears your design.
So when you guys like say the winning design, do you guys also like credit the guy who made it, and
Absolutely.
everybody will know that this guy made it and stuff?
Yep, we publicize it on all the types of advertising I gave you. We let everybody know, and we ask permission first, because there are some people who say, hey, I want to submit it, but I don't want anyone to know. We get their permission, and then we go ahead and let the whole campus know, and the alumni network, that this student designed it, this student came up with a slogan, and it's well received for that. Good question, though. Yeah.
We just consolidated, so we have 4 different campuses.
Okay.
So how would you suggest going about licensing for all?
Yeah, that's one of those things where I don't know in your situation if the licensing is going to be different, or do you have different logos then? Is that?
We have like one university-wide logo, but our licensing is like really picky because they're trying to focus on like branding. And
Sure.
so it would be really hard to get like even any of those like designs passed.
I got you. And then do you have a different mascot? I'm just curious now.
No,
Is
we
it
have one
just one mascot. Okay. So that's the type of thing I would gear towards is start with the one thing that unites you all, and then ultimately, so if you've got 4 different campuses, you could make one shirt that has one design on the back, and then on the front have the name of the campus or something like that in particular, so that you can gear it towards the 4 as a whole. But then if you want it specifically for that campus, you can have that as well. Just fun. Yes.
What are some initiatives that have been funded through this program?
So I mentioned the reusable program for dining services. Relay for Life, which I mentioned, it used to be a student government initiative. It's not anymore. They broke off because they're such a big program. If we had an SGA meeting that involved everything Relay and everything SGA, we'd be in a room for hours. But Relay for Life, like I said, is one of the biggest. So we help fund their stage a lot of years. So you know, we've got this big event on campus, and they need a stage. So instead of them using the money that they would for that to go towards cancer research, they have to pay for the stage. We take care of that a lot of years. Not every year they get funding for that. Some years, so it kind of depends. Pretty much everything SGA in general is if it needs funding, it's funded by this in budget board. Tuna, this is our Vice President Tuna. She can have it.
Yeah, we also got an SGA bus wrap funded, so we're putting towards $15,000 to wrap an entire bus with SGA initiatives and town initiatives. So we're doing that, and our operating budget is anywhere between $50,000 and $70,000 depending on the year. So like all of the SGA initiatives cost money. You know, we do Reading Day with SGA where we provide a place for students to study and snacks that day. So all of these things come out of our budget, and the leftover money people can request money at legislative to fund their initiatives.
So we're operating off of, like Tuna said, $50,000 to $75,000 a year, but
we make a lot more than that through these shirts. So we have a lot of extra funding that can be used for a number, you know, like it's building up right now. So we're very, very sustainable.
Yeah.
How many people are on the Hokie Effect? I guess it's in the Department of Student at SGA. So how many people, I know you said the director and the, for each basketball and football, and then the head director. How many people total operate this program?
You got the director, the assistant director, and then the other directors. You got basketball, football, and a co-director. At one point we had, when it was Hokies on Fire, we had a director and assistant director for each. We can kind of consolidate it to 3. It's 3 people. And then within SGA's cabinet and SGA's executive branch, if there's anything that we need help with, the team effort, you know, the community, we've got it. Yeah, it's full 3 people. But so it is a big initiative. But it's when you're communicating with so many people, you've got to, you know, when we get the shipment of shirts to bookstore, it's one of those things where bookstore says, all right, I don't want the t-shirt company contacting me. When the t-shirt company is shipping them, tell me. So I'm the one who tells the bookstore, all right, the shirts are coming. There's no contact between the distributor and the bookstore, things like that. So if you've got too many people, you got too many cooks in the kitchen, it gets messy. We keep it a small number, and that works well for us. And then, like I said, we got a director of communications and things like that. That's who helps also drive.
So the director of communications, is that the SGA director?
That's the SGA director of communications. Yep. Anybody else? Thank you so much. Is there someone here from Texas A&M?
Yeah. All right. At this time, I just want to thank Bijan and for coming and speaking today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And while you're up here, actually, we wanted to thank you for having us. So Virginia Tech got you guys one of these nifty Hokies Take Texas SGA shirts. Thank you all so much. Like I said, I got the t-shirts up here if you want to check them out in terms of the quality or the designs on them. And then if you need my contact information, I've got cards up here as well. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.